As our brain and body slips further and further into the dream world, into the REM stage of our own dreamland of fantasy, something happens, and a normal dream, even a political dream, becomes a nightmare.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the third annual Conscience of Kansas radio program Halloween special, Political Nightmares. Straight from the depths of the mind of Paul A. Ibbetson, we bring you a chilling tale that neither angry liberals or the FCC can blame on the host because they come from the dream. Let's go to it now.
I found myself walking down a cobblestone road in a large city with a giant problem. They say in your dreams you don't get to pick your situation, and you certainly don't get to pick the villain you're facing. In this dream, prominent conservatives around the country were falling prey to an evil, sinister monster that attacked by the light of the full moon. This creature, who had giant gaping fangs, was reported to creep up on unsuspecting conservatives and attack them from the rear, biting them square in the buttocks. Yes, this was the case of the butt-biting liberal. Yes, a liberal that bites conservatives in the butt. To track down such a devilish fiend, I would have to take on the persona of the smartest detective of all time, yes, Sherlock Holmes, with his trusty sidekick, Dr. Watson.
Dr. Watson, at your service, sir.
We quickly picked up the trail of the butt-biter at a Republican conservative banquet where the beast had broken in and bitten several behinds. Talking to law enforcement personnel at the scene, we found that the beast had stopped near the podium to make a few ghastly statements before continuing the carnage in the room. The recordings of the ghastly comments were played back for Watson and myself, and we listened with eerie, morbid curiosity to the words of the beast.
If we went back a year ago to the fall of 2008, to the campaign, that, it was a time when this country was in two wars, that we've had a financial collapse, probably more significant than any financial collapse since the Great Depression. If you were a Fox News viewer in the fall election, what you would have seen would have been that the biggest stories and biggest threats facing America were a guy named Bill Ayers and something called Acorn. I mean, the reality of it is that Fox News often operates almost as either the research arm or the communications arm of the Republican Party. What I think is fair to say about Fox, and certainly the way we view it, is that it really is more a wing of the Republican Party.
The words of the beast were chilling to both Watson and I, and we took quick chase to try to apprehend this devilish creature. It was no doubt it was dangerous. It was no doubt it was evil. It was no doubt it was liberal. The beast had left a trail of bloody buttocks. It was not hard to track. Watson, being the more fleet-footed of the two of us, led off in pursuit with I quickly on his heels. After chasing the beast down several damp alleyways, we saw it duck into a dank-looking Marxist reading room. We knew we were close. I grasped Watson and said, "Before we go into this den of iniquity, pray tell we are not going unarmed." When I questioned Mr. Watson about our defenses, I was relieved to hear him say,
"Yes, I have my handy revolver."
The Marxist reading room had definitely been used as a den by the creature, but was the creature still there? We could feel the red stench all around us.
"We are on unholy ground,"
were the words that Watson spoke, and I could hardly disagree with him. Not only was this a liberal stronghold, but we were not alone. There were movement throughout the dark shadows within the room. As I walked closely, I saw feeding bowls. Someone had been taking care of the beast, and that someone was still in the room. It was Watson that first sighted him as he shouted the warning, saying,
Holmes, there is danger afoot.
Watson, with his quick eye, almost as quick as mine, had seen a portly man bent over one of the feeding bowls, dumping a large amount of gruel to feed none other than the beast. Watson sent out the warning immediately.
The fat man seems suspicious.
Watson's quick movements toward the portly man that had been taking care of the beast jarred him from his evil work, and he made a very strange sound. I immediately recognized the voice of none other than Michael Moore, the fat man from Michigan. Before I could tell Watson to lower his revolver, the fat man began to run out of the building. Watson replied with thunder,
You, sir, are a liberal.
As the bulbous Michael Moore ran out of the Marxist reading room, and I was deciding that most likely we would see him again in court, we heard the wailing of the devilish butt biter. The beast was close. It had to be on top of the roof of this building. As Watson prepared to go upstairs, I told him, Load the silver bullets, my friend. We're looking for a werewolf, and it is none other than the Washington press release czar, Anita Dunn. Watson only shook his head, as he often did when I came up with these grandiose conclusions that seemed to come from my uncanny ability to notice everything about me.
How do you manage to notice the smallest detail?
Elementary, my dear Watson. First we have the fat bulbous Michael Moore, who makes tremendous money off the division between capitalism and socialism. Then we have an administration that is single-handedly trying to destroy the fabric of this country. And of course that dog bowl down there says property of Anita Dunn and has an Obama sticker on the other side. Come on, Watson, to the rooftop at once. As we reached the rooftop of the building, the clouds slowly crossed the full moon, and for a split moment the beast was transfixed between human and creature. We heard in an eerie voice the words of Anita Dunn.
And then the third lesson and tip actually come from two of my favorite political philosophers, Mao Zedong and Mother Teresa. In 1947, when Mao Zedong was being challenged within his own party on his plan to basically take China over, Chiang Kai-shek and the nationalist Chinese held the cities, they had the army, they had the air force, they had everything on their side. And people said, how can you win? How can you do this? How can you do this? Against all of the odds against you. And Mao Zedong said, you fight your war, and I'll fight mine.
As we moved into a position to shoot the beast, the wolf-like Anita Dunn jumped in front of our exit, and we suddenly found ourselves trapped. Watson, knowing the seriousness of the situation, turned to me and said,
We may not get out of this alive, old friend.
But I turned to my friend Watson and said with great heart, Be not afraid, my friend, as those bullets are not only made of silver, but are laced with the Constitution, the most deadly poison this beast has ever tasted. Aim true, my friend. Watson squared up on the beast that was almost upon us and fired a solid round.